Just a few weeks ago, Mauricio Sullivan said that he would come up with a new mandatory challenger for WBC heavyweight champion Tyson Fury. But now he says that's out. He's no longer doing that. And instead, he's going to wait for Deontay Wilder and Andy Ruiz to fight each other. This is unacceptable as far as I'm concerned, because normally when a final eliminator is ordered, the two fighters are given 30 days to negotiate. And if they can't come to an agreement within that period, it goes to purse bids. And then once the purse bid is won, they're given a time period, let's say 3 months, within which the fight must happen. That hasn't occurred with this Deontay Wilder-Andy Ruiz situation. Now, yes, they are both Al Haymon fighters. And maybe Al Haymon behind the scenes, I don't know, I'm speculating here, has some type of agreement with Mauricio Sullivan where it doesn't go to purse bids because Al Haymon wouldn't want DAZN coming in and bidding and winning that bid and having Wilder Ruiz on DAZN or ESPN, etc. But that's what's supposed to happen if two guys can't agree to fight each other in a final eliminator. But not so here. So to me, I have no knowledge, I have no evidence of this. It looks like funny business is going on between the WBC and Al Haymon. There are fighters below Deontay Wilder and Andy Ruiz in the rankings who are desperate not only to fight for a title, but just to get into a final eliminator. If there was any credibility to the WBC whatsoever, they would remove Deontay Wilder and Andy Ruiz from the mandatory eliminator situation, and they would allow someone else who's going to fight for the mandatory position more readily, who's not going to mess around and start exploring other options. Someone who's ready to go right now. Someone like Frank Sanchez, for example. And with regards to Wilder and Ruiz, it appears, as an outsider looking in, that Ruiz is more willing to fight Wilder in that final eliminator than vice versa, because Wilder's got other options, whereas Ruiz apparently doesn't. So you could then just remove Deontay Wilder from the equation and have Frank Sanchez fight Andy Ruiz in a final eliminator. But again, the WBC has no credibility. They're here messing around. They have their favorites. They have their relationships. And so they bend their rules, or I'm sure they have provisions, to be fair, in their rules, which basically allow them to make it up as they go along. I mean, what's the point in even having a rule book when there are clauses in the rule book where you can basically override virtually every rule? Come on. That's the same as having no rules. Everybody remembers when Mauricio Sullivan, during the Martinez fight on the undercard of Canelo Ryder, caused the commission, the local commission, he made them change their decision about a knockdown. You guys remember that? I've never seen anything like that before in my life. Where they do that at? Somehow, Mauricio Sullivan has that kind of clout that he could get the commission to change that. I mean, crazy, right? So when we're talking about special relationships that Mauricio Sullivan has with various people in boxing, well, there's the commission in Guadalajara. And to me, as an outsider looking in, having no inside knowledge of it, it looks like similar relationships with Al Haymon, Don King back in the days, maybe Tyson Fury these days. I don't like the way the WBC are moving. I mean, look at, I keep mentioning this in recent videos, I'm not trying to pick on the guy, because at the end of the day, it's not necessarily his fault, but Jamal Charlo, he should have been stripped to that belt ages ago. It's like when Vitaly Klitschko was WBC champion. Same thing, he was given carte blanche to sit on the shelf and keep the belt inactive. I think he was out the ring for something like 2 years, there or thereabouts, at the end of his career, before they eventually made him, was it champion emeritus? Something like that. So yeah, all that has got to stop. I'm sure it won't. But if, again, the WBC had any credibility, they would stop nonsense like that. Because I think they're the worst for this type of thing. None of the sanctioning bodies are angels, obviously. But some of them are worse with certain things than others. And my perception is the WBC are the worst when it comes to their belts being inactive. Just not getting their champions out regularly, not putting enough pressure on the champions to get out regularly. And also the worst when it comes to enforcing mandatories. None of the sanctioning bodies are perfect with mandatories. But as I say, I think the WBC are the worst. So let me know what you guys think about all this in the comment section below. Mauricio Sullivan saying, no, there will be no new mandatory challenger for Tyson Fury. Instead, they're going to wait for Wilder and Ruiz to fight each other. Now, some people are going to look at it and think that, well, this shows that Wilder Ruiz is closer to happening than we realize. But nobody has to actually take a mandatory fight. And if you're Deontay Wilder and you got a choice between fighting Andy Ruiz or fighting Anthony Joshua, either or, you're obviously going to fight Anthony Joshua in Saudi for a boatload of money. It's a no-brainer. So if it came down to it and Wilder really didn't want the fight, I'm sure he would allow the WBC to remove him from the number one position because he's going to fight AJ anyway. See what I'm saying? Yeah, I'll leave it there. Are you sick and tired of the mainstream mindset? Does the dogmatic conformity and pathological ignorance have you tearing your hair out in frustration? Then don't be alone. Come and join our brotherhood on Patreon. We stand as a beacon of reason against an army of insanity. You'll gain access to my weekly topical podcast where we take more deep dives than Jacques Cousteau on an endless variety of subjects. There's also videos, interviews, live Q&As, as well as a vast back catalogue of previous episodes, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen via the Patreon app or download in high-quality MP3. Connect with myself and hundreds of other members in our Element chat group. There's no contract, no commitment, you can cancel at any time, and it's cheaper than a Mickey D's McMuffin. Just head to my Patreon page via the link below this video and select the tier called the Brotherhood of Reason. I'll see you over there.